So hello everyone, and thank you for making the time to be here today. I am Alba, Deep Tech Senior Consultant at Hello Tomorrow, and I'm happy to welcome you to this Ask Me Anything session about the Grand Marathon of the European Space Agency F-lab in collaboration with Save the Children. So first things first, just very useful tips for this session with the platform that is Livestorm. As you will see, there is a question tab right on the bottom right corner. Here you can put all your questions throughout the session. We will cover them at the end. So yeah, this is very useful because this way we can have really all the questions gathered, and also because the participants, all of you, can upvote questions that might be interesting for you, even if other people did it, and we can approach the most. We will approach them all, but starting maybe with the most relevant ones. And then there is also a chat where you can interact. We will share useful links there. So yeah, feel free to interact between each other there if you want to. And really, just for those of you who are not familiar with Hello Tomorrow, a very short introduction. So Hello Tomorrow was founded almost 15 years ago now, and with the mission of helping deep tech entrepreneurs in their journey to help them have more visibility, connect with the right people. So building this broad ecosystem where all the key players of in deep tech could connect. And this is why we have the Global Challenge and also the Global Summit that some of you might attend in March. We do this every year in March in Paris. And throughout the years, we also realized that it was not only the entrepreneurs who needed help, but also public companies and private companies and public institutions as well. So this is how the consulting vertical of Hello Tomorrow was born, and it's also collaboration with the ecosystem part. So here we are today collaborating with the European Space Agency F-lab. So yeah, this is it. Let's jump into the session. I will introduce you a bit how it will happen. So first, we will welcome all of the speakers that will guide you through this session. First, an introduction of F-lab, what is F-lab inside the ESA. Then the Grand Marathon, all the insights, the details of this marathon, this challenge. Then an introduction of Save the Children. Why is this collaboration happening? Why does it make sense? Next steps, and then we will cover all your questions. So yeah, and yeah. So here today we have Dr. Chiara Pejman from the European Space Agency F-lab, and also Carlotta from Save the Children. And you don't see her, but also Chiara from the Hello Tomorrow Consulting part is also here. You might have interacted with her. She's in the backstage. So thank you, Aiga, for helping us. And yeah, no. I would like all the speakers to introduce themselves before we start the session. So maybe Chiara, the stage is yours. Welcome.
Thank you, Alba, and hello everyone. It's a pleasure to run together with you the second AMA webinar. I am Chiara Cocchiara. I work as a Senior Innovation Officer. I am a part of the ESA F-lab. You will be hearing from myself and from my colleague, Pej. And we belong to two different offices. I will explain a little bit more in a few minutes, but I belong to the Explore office. That's where we do research. So I pass the word to Pej.
Pleasure to be here, and I apologize for the noise. I'm still in the office, so hopefully you can hear me clearly. My name is Pejman Nejadi. I am an end-to-end systems engineer. I work at the ESA West office, where we run the InCube. The InCube program is very focused on commercial elements of Earth observation, and I can talk to you about it a little bit more later. So apologies for the background noise. I'll try and make up for it later.
Thank you, Pej. Indeed, there was a little bit of noise, so if that could be managed for after, that would be great. So everyone clears you, understands you afterwards. And Carlotta, do you want to introduce yourself?
Of course, yes. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. I am the head of program quality, impact and innovation in SAVE Italy, but today I actually represent Save the Children globally. We would love this one to be a global initiative, and we do our best to, of course, work together with all of you. Thank you. Over to you. Back to you, Alba.
Thank you. So actually back to Chiara. So yeah, tell us a little bit more about F-lab.
Yes, so the F-lab. What do we do there? The F-lab is really a unique division within the European Space Agency. That's where we do disruptive innovation. We don't like incremental innovation. We want to go really disruptive. And we do this, of course, by using Earth observation data. We are a part of the Earth Observation Directorate within the European Space Agency. So clearly there is the main link connected to EO, and we apply all the newest technologies from artificial intelligence to quantum computing, etc., to make an impact. I will tell you more in a minute. First, what you see in the slide, I started to anticipate. We have two offices. One is the Explore and one is the Invest office. The Explore office, where I belong to, takes care of the first part of the TRL scale. So TRL, for those that don't know, is the technology readiness level and goes from the 0 up to 9. 0 is really the basic, so that's where we have the ideas and where we start building up on this. And then we go up to 9, that is the entering into the market. What we do in the Explore is exactly this. So we started with the first bit, that is the creation of transformative ideas. Either we create them internally or we request from other people. So we open calls, we open challenges like this one. So we use a lot of tools in order to collect ideas. Then we nurture the good ones and we start with the development. And then the Invest office starts playing a role. My colleague will say a few more words about this after me, but just to let you know that's indeed the commercialization aspect of the F-lab. So they take the good ideas and they develop, they build up on this, and then they fund. The co-funding depends on many parameters, depending on that are established, of course, within the F-lab guidelines. And then they guide the company and with the product or service to enter the market. And this is really unique within ESA. We are the only ones that do within the full space agencies. There are many other divisions that take care of one specific part of what we do, but we take care of the full timeline, let's say. Indeed, the most important aspect is that we are part of the Earth Observation Directorate, but we are really looking into the future. So we look into the innovation and we do this in a dynamic way. We work with all the newest technologies and we welcome input from external partners that want to work with us, and we work closely not only with companies, but also with other type of entities, like it could be academias. I can tell you a little bit the structure of the F-lab. We have the staff members, so people that work directly with ESA. We have a series of contractors that work with us on behalf of other companies. And the interesting component is made especially for the Explore office by research fellows and visiting researchers and visiting professors. So research fellows are postdoc students, those that have the capabilities to really program, to develop. They have a very strong technical background, and they act as a bridge between the technical aspect and the contribution to the strategy of the Ph-lab. Then we have the visiting researchers, and these are people that stay with us for a short period of time, minimum 3 months, then the standard is 6 months, and then it can be extended up to 1 year. And they come from different entities, mainly from academia, but also from other research institute or even companies. And then we have also visiting professors. These are very experienced people, experienced leaders in their field that contribute to our mission, either mentoring us or including us in their network, providing tools. So they really are like a complementary aspect of the expertise that we have within the Ph-lab. And here we come to indeed the 2 offices that I mentioned before, and I think Paige, you can take the lead now to the Invest office.
Of course, very good. Thank you, Chiara. If you don't mind going back to the previous slide, maybe I can quickly talk about the separation between the 2 offices. So I think Chiara covered that and talked about the Explore office. In contrast to Explore office, in the Invest office side, we are really trying to give more attention to the business element of Earth observation. And we're trying to create some more support within the European kind of member states and the companies that operate in here. If we go to the next slide, so the Incubed program actually stands for Investing in Industrial Innovation, and the idea here is that anything that is related to supporting the Earth observation domain, we're happy to help. The fund, I think, started in 2017, and to date it's more than about 215 million euros that we have in the fund, and it's really a collaboration between the European Space Agency, the national delegation of the member states that we are collaborating with, and industry. And the key point here is that this is a industry-led initiative. So the idea here is, unlike some of the other programs within ESA, we really want to let the industry kind of take the lead and provide a product that is useful for the customer and the market that they have identified. So to date, we've got about 150, maybe more activities across all member states. And as I mentioned, we cover a space segment. This could be the satellite, this could be the platform itself, it could be the components within the platform, propulsion system, data handling unit, or it could be the payload, and the payload could be anything optical, SAR, whatever you like, really. And we also similarly cover the ground segment element. So if you have some great ideas about how to distribute the data that you need to work with, or you have clever ideas about the ground networks that are kind of connected, or new mission management products, we can help. And then a large portion of our activities that we invest in seem to go into the data segment, where we kind of look into receiving, for instance, raw data from Copernicus, and then the company has great ideas of how to turn these into some data analytics or some insights that then they can carry on and sell. This could also involve some of the data products that they have developed with us as part of hardware that we initially did together. So it really is a wide spectrum of domains that we can support. So going to the next slide. Before I jump into that, maybe I'll speak a little bit about what we're looking for in here. So as I mentioned before, Incubed is, we're not really interested in inventing something new. The idea here is to innovate, and perhaps the idea itself is around TRL3, so we know that feasibility has been done, and you really need that support, extra support, to bring the product that you have in mind into market, and then by doing so, to sell it to the customers that have been identified. And in fact, one of the questions that we ask when you apply for a Incubed program is, who are your customers, how are you going to approach them, and what is the customer validation route? And Based on this, we're quite flexible in terms of the work and the proposal that has been submitted to us. So we try and not mandate any specific processes like ECSS, but we will be guided and influenced by them, but they're not mandatory to the contract. What it does, this enables new space companies to come up and really respond to a need on the market, and we're happy to help them in that. So you will see some of the companies that we have supported up to date on the right-hand side. They're kind of shown by the arrows. You have Aerospace Lab, you have Satlantis, Aurora Tech, Cuba Space, Constellar. All of these companies are already companies that we have supported, and they're already commercially operational, and they're making money. Essentially, they're not looking for more grants from the agency. They are, and that's the role we'd like to play here. So we'd like to be able to support companies to become commercially viable as soon as possible. Next slide, please, if you don't mind. Again, this is kind of another example of what happens to some of the companies that we invest in. Usually space on the Earth observation domain is quite a tricky one, especially if you've got a new idea and some of the private investors across Europe are not familiar with your idea, or the idea is quite risky. They may not be able to invest in the company or in the idea at the seed stage. This is where we can step in and help you guys. So the idea is we are able to take more risk in comparison to some of the private investors initially. But what this does, once we have reached a certain milestone within the program with us, which basically demonstrate the minimal viable product, then this hugely attracts some of the VCs and the private investors to step in. So a great example is Constellar. They've kind of raised 17 million euros to date. Airmo is about 5.2, Aurora Tech 15, and Open Cosmos is probably the largest to date. They've just managed to raise 50 million euros on the back of the contract that they had with us, and they successfully delivered. So this is just to show an example of what is possible, and I'm sure some of the other pipelines that we are working on would even be able to return even larger sums and raise huge funds to be able to kind of really accelerate that minimum viable product to the larger scale. And that's the introduction to Incubed and Invest Office. Any questions? I'm more than happy to take them in the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pej. Then I start with the real focus of this webinar. So we talk about the Grand Marathon. What is it? As a matter of fact, Grand Marathon is a grand challenge, but we called it a marathon because, as you can see, it's a very long process, and due to the rules of ESA procurement, we need to work on step by step. So what happened is that we are at kilometer 0 at the moment, and that's where we are accepting all the applications. I recall that the deadline is the 31st of January, so there are 3 days left to apply. And then once this will be over, then we will analyze the proposals, and then we will award the first top 3 winners, the top 3 finalists of the marathon. All of the top 3 are considered already a winners because they will deliver a more detailed business plan, if available already some algorithm simulation or a proof of concept, and we are paying them. I will give you in a minute the details. But we're paying them 15,000 euros each for what they have procured. The interesting thing is that at this moment, we will invite the 3 finalists to come to Paris to the global summit of Hello Tomorrow. So there, the 3 finalists have the opportunity to stage to pitch their solution. And in that moment, then we will decide of the 3 finalists who will continue the run, will continue the marathon. And they will work for another month and a half to create a first prototype. So maybe just a prototype with core functionalities, something that is basic but already works. At the end of this, then the two solutions will be procured by ESA, and the winning two teams will receive 50,000 euros each. And at that point, we will decide who is the real winner, and this team will work for another month and a half until the end of June. And there, this team has to deliver a high-fidelity prototype or a minimum viable product, so something that is already quite complete. Maybe some cosmetic features are not there, it's not still very beautiful, but it works fine. And the award will be given during the Living Planet Symposium, that is one of the major events organized by ESA, and that will be at the end of June, where the finalists will be invited to come and pitch the final solution. And I will come in 2 slides to the important collaboration that we have with Save the Children and how potentially these solutions can be implemented. What do we expect in the Grand Marathon? So what type of proposals we are awaiting from you? There are no strict guidelines in the sense that we want to provide some suggestions, but the important thing is that you think you are the expert in your field, you want to, you know about some issues, some problems in your territory that you want to solve. And these are some potential scenarios. So you know that the climate change is having a big impact at worldwide level, and there are many extreme events that are occurring all around the world. For those that are here in Europe, of course, you are aware of the fact that we had a very big flood in Spain a few months ago, and that was one of the major events of the last years, and it is expected that in the future we may have other extreme events. What happened is that as a consequence, we have both natural disasters, so we have an impact from an environmental point of view, but there are also other lateral impacts. And the one where we are very much interested in is impact on health, on the society, and for example, spreading of new infectious diseases. Talking about floods, once again, you know that floods bring a different environment with a lot of water and contaminated water. So we may have issues from the water which is not good and cannot be used for drinking or for cooking, to be used in many applications. But also we have, for example, proliferation of new mosquitoes, and this can bring new type of diseases that, for example, in Europe we still do not have or are very rare. I'm talking, for example, about malaria, West Nile fever, dengue. We have really many type of diseases that, as you know, are not very common at the moment. We do not have even mandatory vaccinations in our territory, but in the future it may be. So the idea is indeed to study, to predict what these events will be, where they will occur, what are risk areas that will emerge, and what are the impacts not only on environmental point of view, but also and especially on health point of view. I go back once again to touch base on the Save the Children aspect. Clearly, the focus could be on vulnerable people, such as could be children as well. So children could be the ones that are mostly impacted. So if we can do a study where we study environment, we study an impact on infectious diseases in general, but we highlight also the focus on vulnerable people like children, then clearly there is a big impact that you are assessing, and that is the biggest link with our partner that work with us, that is Save the Children. So why should you apply for the program? The first point to me is the most important, that is societal impact. So touch base on Save the Children, and Carlotta will talk a bit more about this just after these slides. But really, apart from the collaboration with Save the Children, collaboration with ESA, what I would like is to have people that feel that are bringing an impact on society. So when you are proposing solutions and you are receiving funding, so you are receiving exposure to big events, you are open to collaborations with other partners, that is really important. But you are offered all this opportunity because the issue, the problem that you're tackling is really important. So you should feel the contribution that you are doing to society. Then clearly there is the connection with the leading experts and the possibility to showcase globally. So whether you are a startup or you are a big company, you have the possibility to stage up not only in classical channels, like it could be social medias or on a website, etc., but you are open to a public, both at the Global Summit at Hello Tomorrow and at the Living Planet Symposium with ESA in Vienna. And that is really important because you get the recognition by an audience that is expert in tech and that is expert in Earth observation. So you will be showing your solution to the proper audience and refine your pitch. So sometimes you have brilliant ideas, you have brilliant capabilities, but you need to be able to sell it. And with us and with Hello Tomorrow in particular, in this case, you will be able to refine your marketing skills, let's call it this way. And then the last point, which is also one of the reasons why people apply, and it's because you will receive substantial fundings. The third runner, so the third prize, will be awarded 15,000 euros, the second runner 65,000 euros, and the first runner 215,000 euros. So the European Space Agency is putting on the plate about 300,000 euros that will be distributed to the three winners in this way. Next to this, of course, the participation to the events, we will sponsor that as well. So we will cover the travel and accommodation to come to the Hello Tomorrow Global Summit and to the Living Planet Symposium for the first runner. So with this, I leave the word to Carlotta to explain Save the Children and how strong is the collaboration and how we can do what we can do together with within the Grand Marathon. So Carlotta, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chiara. In this slide, I think we wanted to clarify that the climate crisis is a children crisis. So we acknowledge that, in fact, as you read in here, over 1 billion children actually currently live in countries that are at extreme risk from climate change. And on the left side of the slide, you can actually read, I won't go through them, but you can read in details some of the specific impacts that climate change is producing on children that are born in 2020 compared to children that were born, for example, in 1960. Of course, it means that their life is going to be hugely impacted by climate change. That means from a child protection point of view, the impact is also on their education, of course, on food security and health. We can actually move to the next slide. While going to the next slide, I can actually already also highlight that when it comes to risks in general posed by climate change, of course, we should acknowledge that those risks also depend from the nature of the hazards. So it means, for example, extreme heat, droughts, floods, as you, Chiara, highlighted in your presentation, Of course, the extent of exposure to hazards, but also underlying vulnerabilities. And that means, for example, that their health status, socioeconomic status, access, capacity to access services, including health services, for example, or other, for example, social determinants that actually are, for example, social cultural factors, including, I would say, gender norms or otherwise race, ethnicity, disability. Of course, those factors, those vulnerabilities, again, increase, the impact that climate change is producing on children. When it comes to health and climate, this is actually, in a nutshell, our approach. We acknowledge the importance to work on health systems. We acknowledge the importance to work with communities and therefore to implement a locally led, community-led, but not only community-led, locally led adaptation approach. That means actually to give voice to there, of course, private actors or why not key partners such as, for example, the European Space Agency at global level, but looking at what then local partners could do together with us. And then we definitely acknowledge the importance to work on the development of adaptation plans as well as early warning systems. And eventually the importance to make sure that children are agent of their change. So we want to give voice to them and to disadvantaged groups. I'd like to mention that Save the Children currently is implementing already important programs on health and climate. As a reminder, for example, we recently actually were successful in let's say submitting 2 projects under the Green Climate Fund. One of them is implemented in Laos, is a 28 million proposal that actually includes a component on early warning and especially also looking at the spread of dengue and diarrhea diseases, working on health facilities. For example, in that project, we work with 100 facilities across 25 districts in Laos. And a similar project is implemented in Malawi, another project again funded by the Green Climate Fund that is worth 38 million euros. I think what is important is really to have the capacity to sort of predict the impact and consequently plan. So adaptation really depends a lot on the capacity to predict. And therefore, this Grand Marathon is a huge opportunity for us. And I do hope that the solutions that will be identified will eventually be key also in improving our capacity, Save the Children capacity to, again, work and address, work on climate change and address the huge challenges that climate change impact is actually, again, posing on children and their communities.
Okay, so I take the lead again. So this is the timeline, and we are at the moment really close to the kilometer 5, of course, because we have the applications close the 31st of January. And then the 3 runners will be selected by the 12th, 13th of February. That's where we will do the communication. and they will work for about 1 month, as I mentioned before, until the Hello Tomorrow Global Summit. At this point, they will receive the 15,000 euros. Then we have the 2 runners selected, and on the 1st of May, we have an offline assessment, and we will give 50,000 euros to both the 2 runners. And then we will do the final announcement, potentially at the Living Planet Symposium that will be at the end of June, and the official communication maybe they will come just later, with the last 150,000 euros that will be given to the last winner. So clearly the third winner will get only 15,000. The second place will get 65, so 50 plus 15, and then the first runner will get 150 plus 50 plus 15. So that is a bit the status and the full timeline. We are done, and yes, if you have any questions, we are all here to answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the 3 of you. That was super insightful. And yes, we do have a lot of questions. There are several that have been upvoted, so maybe we can start. Several people have asked about the competitors in the application form. So that basically is if you have already collaborated with other space agency, just for information. I don't know, Chiara, if you want to give a bit more insights about that, but it's just information about your journey so far.
Sorry, the question is if they collaborated. I didn't get the question. Sorry, I'm trying to read it, but I cannot find it.
Yeah, it's because I already texted, so I cannot share it live. But the question is like a bit more explanation about the competitors. Who are your competitors? Question on the submittable application form. So it is if you have already collaborated with other space agencies.
So of course we collaborate with agencies, industries, NGOs, academia from all around the world. And for this Grand Marathon, I know that there are quite a few of our partners, contractors that are considering applying. But the interesting thing for us is that we would like always to open up. So we have people that we trust, but there are new people that could gain the trust, and that's what the challenge is there for. So we are open really to listen to all the ideas, and we award the best ones, not only based on relationships, but mainly on the quality of the proposals that will be received. About the deliverables, the first business plan needs to be included, of course, with the first application. So once you do the application to the marathon, you are required to add 5 pages business plan. There is a template that you can use, and it is very light. So it's just 5 pages with all the structure that is already indicated, and it is mainly to understand what is the purpose of your application, what type of issues you are tackling, more or less what type of technology you would like to use. So it is just to really have an overall understanding of your proposed solutions. Once we go to the next step, then we will require a more detailed business plan. So we would like to understand better the type of algorithm that you are developing, in which language you are writing, what type of functionalities you plan to implement, what type of issues you plan to address, and what could be future applications. So, for example, the type of and customers that you foreseen, what type of territory you are trying to cover. So really to have a much more detailed idea of what you plan to do with your solution. And then in the last one is really a bit more practical. So we would like to see the real solution implemented. So we would like for you to showcase what you have created and the functionalities and how the system work. And all of these deliverables, indeed, you will be guided step by step. The first one is open to everyone, so the template is available for download. And I advise you to fill it before you complete your application. You open the application so that you have everything there and you can submit then all together. I understood that indeed you can start your application and then you can continue you can save a draft and continue later so that you can collect the necessary material. And then for the other steps, you will be guided by us. So we will have a more detailed business plan. You will have Hello Tomorrow that will help you to prepare the pitch. And we will be there to talk, to confront each other so that we can help you build the best solution that we will award afterwards.
Great, thank you. So there's a very popular question that is, are there any insights on how many applicants have applied so far and to help us estimate? So we cannot disclose the number of applicants so far, but we would say we are expecting between 50 to 100 applications. So that could give you an indicator.
Then, and this is not to discourage you, but this is to stimulate you. So you have, this is a very important project, and we are happy that we are receiving applications on a regular basis, and this means that the people are willing to apply for all the multiple reasons that are listed before. So please don't get discouraged. And every big company, big project start from these steps. And what my colleague Paige showed before, that is really true. We see it regularly even outside of this challenge. We have companies coming to us for co-funding for small projects, and then they end up raising millions of euros. So that's where it starts. And that is really, I invite you to apply, strongly invite you to apply, really.
So actually we can continue with this one now that you mentioned the funding, because there are several people that ask, there might have been involved with other initiatives from ESA, either if it's funding or the accelerator incubator. So are there any problems in balancing these different fundings or collaborations with ESA?
No, this is a separate thing. So if you are, incubated with the big, or you have other projects with us, that is not a limitation. So no worries at all. And instead, if there is already a link, we will just be adding it. So it's fine.
Perfect. Then, what if our application is not targeting infectious diseases, but just specific diseases cases? Is it still relevant?
As long as this is linked with Earth observation, then absolutely yes.
Great. Then about more the process during kilometer 10 and 20, POC or algo simulation on a topic of are they choosing the topic, or is it given by you or Save the Children?
No, so the topics are really open. We provided some potential scenarios, but just to give you an idea, but you need to, you have the possibility to address everything that you want. This is the beauty of the challenge. Then if the issue is has an impact on children, for example, then that will be a link to foster a collaboration with Save the Children. But that is not a constraint that we are putting. And the topic, you can assess whatever you want, from floods, desertification, heat waves. You can do every issues that you consider in your territory or in a different territory, and you see that there is an impact, then please suggest this. We are welcoming the variety of ideas, and the more the better. So do not focus only on what we indicated as a suggestion. Feel free to propose everything that you think is an issue that should be tackled.
Okay, then we have a bit more specific questions, but how binding is the use of AI, or to what extent? There are a whole range of different technologies and AI before AI. So yes, what kind of technologies are you tackling?
So there is not, once again, a limitation there, especially in the F-lab. We work with a variety of technologies and applications, going from AI to blockchain, quantum computing, edge computing. So AI is just to give you an idea that we are looking into something new, something modern, new technologies, new applications that make use of Earth observation data to deliver an impact, a solution. But there are no limitations there, as long as of course, there is Earth observation included there, and there has to be, of course, something that is AI or similar to AI, something new. In fact, if you are aware of new technologies or new applications that you want to propose outside of AI, we are welcoming that.
And following that one, I think it makes sense. Is it mandatory to incorporate Earth observation data at the early stages of the prototype, or would it be enough if they implement it a bit later on, guided by ESA, for example?
So you need to have the Earth observation component. At the very beginning, like when you prepare the business plan for the real application, you don't need to have already the EO data, and we are not requiring already the algorithm working. So that is fine if you propose a solution, and you can ask then for guidance on how to import the data, for example. Clearly, if you are already taking into account and you know how to implement the data, or the type of the role that the data will play, that will be seen from your application and will be an asset, because we are seeing a solution that potentially would be likely to be put in place. Consider that as part of the F-lab, you remember we have the two offices. One is Explore, that is where we do research, but then we have the commercialization, that is the Invest office. So we are looking into a sort of a link between the two. We will give preference to projects that shows a commercialization possibility, let's say. So we want to see companies or ideas that potentially can become a business afterwards. So it's at the very early stage. If you mean the first application, of course, you are not required to incorporate Earth observation data, but then along the process, we expect, of course, that you are able to make use of the data.
Okay, and another one of on this topic about the Earth observation data, what is exactly what you're looking for? Is it eligible a company if it focuses on more collecting the data via other platforms rather than analyzing it?
Yes, I mean, yes.
Sorry, Claudio was a bit more specific also, and he said that your application states that your application must use Earth observation data if processing specify the system spectrum data source and required. So yes, around, is it more just analyzing or collecting it?
So it can be both. Of course, we are interested in the output. If it is just a way of classifying the data, we are not interested in the capability of classifying. we're interested in understanding the classification, what will bring afterwards. So how do we use the work that you're doing? So this is once again not something just to do research or to do a standalone project. We're looking into something that will be potentially an implemented project. So if it is something that will impact children, we are expecting that Save the Children could potentially use it. If we are just making a categorization of Earth observation data, then that is a different type of research. It's not really an application, doesn't have an impact. So you can collect AO data, you can do all the work, and then tell us with the work that we are doing, you can use it in this way. So there is then an application that will follow. So the answer is yes, but what comes next?
Interesting. And we have another one more referring about these 5 pages application business plan. Should it include the title page, or should it be 5 pages of directly all the content that they can provide?
So I think, yes, I mean, we can be a bit flexible there, but 5 pages should be of content ideally, so not just a front page. So if you go a little bit more, like 5.5 maximum, then that would be okay. But we need to keep a limit, because otherwise we have people that will present, I don't know, 10, 15 pages, and that is not the purpose at this stage. If your proposal is good and you're able to work on it, to explain what you will do within 5 pages, then you have the possibility to extend with the next steps.
Okay, and another question about the process and how in the different stages you will showcase the solution. So in what format will the results be presented? So the demonstration of the solution live, test, visual check, graphic user interface.
We didn't put a template there, a format, but what we expect, of course, is to have something that could be shown to an audience. So the audience will come from the tech world, especially for the Global Summit, and they want to see not just a line of code, but they want to see how the code will be implemented. So maybe you can show, I don't know, the visuals of outcomes that you can retrieve from your solution. You can show the software if you have. So it depends really also on the solution that you have. Graphical user interface would be also acceptable. So something that you can really show, either by playing with it on stage and showcasing, or in the form of a presentation, and you can show images or outputs that you got from the work that you have implemented till that moment.
Okay, and now a bit more general. So one of the questions in the application form is also how you, oh, we lost Chiara, but actually this question is also for Pejman. So it was how a F-lab can support the applicants. So maybe it will be a big part for the Explore area, that is Chiara, but also from the investment office. So Pejman, maybe you want to cover this part while Chiara returns. Oh, Chiara, you're
Yes.
here.
Yes,
So,
sorry, I had my battery went very low on the computer, so connected with the phone.
no worries.
Can you repeat the question, Salva?
Yeah, of course. So this was a bit more general, since in the application form there is a question that says, what kind of support, how do you think the ESA F-lab can support the applicants? So I guess this is between Pejman and you for the Explore and the Investment Office, but yeah, maybe you can cover it a bit.
Yes, so clearly we know that some of you, for example, do not have a lot of expertise on how retrieving data. So, for example, you have knowledge on data, but you don't know where to find them. So, you write the business proposal, and then we can do some coaching and help you to retrieve data, for example. Or you want to know a bit better on some technologies. You want to have some guidelines on our side on I don't know, type of applications, links that could be done with other projects if there are other companies working on similar things and you want to be connected, or you want to have some other expertise on a specific application. So it is really varied. We are there to provide the support where needed. Clearly not at this stage, because here we are collecting all the applications and we cannot answer everyone individually. That's the objective of this webinar. But then if your solution is considered potentially a winning solution, then we will be there to support with EO expertise. On Hello Tomorrow side, then there will be the support, for example, on preparing the pitch. So guiding the solutions to make it beautifully able to be sold, let's say. So you can sell it well and not only have a good solution, but be able to communicate in the proper way to the end users or to us, ESA, that will be funding the solution.
Okay, another one more about the maturity of the solution. So how advanced should be the proposal solution to be presented in the Grand Marathon?
So this is, you can see it directly when you download the template on the application. So it is basic solution that we are expecting at this stage, meaning that we need to see that you have a clear understanding of the issue that you will tackle, of the solution that you will develop, the technology that you will be using, and how you will use at observation data. The way that you will do it technically, like what type of algorithm will be exactly developed, what type, how many functionalities will it have, etc. Then this will come later. So at the beginning, it's a light application that we are expecting. So something that should convince us that you will manage to tackle the issue. It's an important one, and you will bring an impact.
Okay, and I think we have the last question so far, and is from Liv, if there is any favor for solutions that are focused on the low and middle income countries.
No, we do not have preferences there. The only requirement that we have, as you know, is that your company has to be based in one of the European Space Agency member states. You need to be based here, but then you can address any region in the world. That is not a problem at all.
Okay, so wow, that was a lot of questions. If you have any extra questions, this is the moment. Carlotta, yes, tell us.
Yeah, thank you, Alba. No, this is just to mention for all the applicants that, of course, Save the Children and ESA actually agreed that it would be important to ensure that whatever solution is identified, there is the capacity to look at the impact of climate change on children. And we also, to that extent, recognize that, as you can easily understand, that most of the interest is in programs implemented mainly in Africa, otherwise in other continents, but of course not in Europe. So this is for Save the Children, of course, a priority. So again, I just wanted to clarify that, because of course, maybe there are implications.
Okay, thank you, Carlotta.
Very good. So
Yes.
just to summarize, no limitations on the areas, but if they tackle areas that are of interest for also for Save the Children, then of course it's an extra point that will be given.
So yeah, well, I think this is it. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here and explaining it in details, and also for all the participants on your questions. You will receive the recording of this session right after, and you will also find it if you want to share it with other people that might find it relevant. In the Hello Tomorrow YouTube channel, we will share it. And yeah, you have until Friday to submit your application. Please don't leave it for the last minute, as it is, you have to submit these 5 pages document. So yes, thank you so much for being here. And if you have any questions at any point, don't hesitate to reach out via email. You have Aiga, my contact, and you will find it in all our communications and Hello Tomorrow channels. So yes, looking forward to seeing your applications. And thank you so much, all of you, for being here. Bye.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.